Hey everybody, it's Cindy with Monarch Mom DIY. On my channel, I like to bring you the best tips and tools for creating beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I have 6 more farmhouse Christmas decor DIYs using mostly items from Dollar Tree. If you're new here, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button. For project number 1, we're making 2 different versions of a pizza pan wreath using pizza pans from Dollar Tree, some various Merry Christmas signs, Christmas floral, and some paint. I did first give these 2 pizza pans a couple coats of white spray paint, and then I am just sealing that in with some of my matte finish Mod Podge, especially for the one I'm going to paint the buffalo check pattern on. You really want to make sure to seal in that base coat of paint so that your tape does not pull up the paint layers. I will say this was a lot trickier to do on a round object, especially a pan, but basically what you're going to do now that you have your base coat is start with a strip of painter's tape down the center and then put one directly to the right and then directly to the left, and then you will lift up that center piece, and that's where your paint stripe will go. You'll keep doing this, moving to the right and to the left until you have spaces and then a strip of tape. You'll see I'm going to do that here. Now again to the right, I'm laying down just a piece of tape that will mark the space, and then put the actual tape that will stay directly next to that. I will say this was painter's tape from the Dollar Tree, which normally does a decent job. However, I did not get crisp lines, maybe because it was a pan, but if you want to make sure your lines are super crisp, you can always use the Frog painter's tape that is green, and I have found it at Walmart. So here, now that I have my stripes of paint and tape, I'm going to take next my mineral chalk paint and just give that a coat or two now where the white pan is showing. Once that's done, I am going to let that completely dry and then pull up the tape. Turning your pan then 90 degrees, you're going to do stripes again the same way. This time I am using elephant, so it is a slightly darker gray. But this time you do not peel up the tape, you do let it dry, and then you put your vertical stripes of tape back on, and now you can't, it's hard to tell, but there are little squares of the pan exposed, and that's where you're going to paint black. If my tutorial here is hard to follow, just look it up. There are lots of great tutorials, but basically you start with a base color and then 3 other colors, and that will give you a 4-color buffalo plaid. And of course, it's very satisfying to see the finished product. As you can see if you look closely, some of the paint did bleed under the dollar store tape. Once that is completely dry, I did spray it with one coat of a matte clear spray, and now I am taking my nautical rope from Dollar Tree and I'm just hot gluing it around where the pan starts to curve up. One, to cover up the lines between the paint and also to give it a farmhouse look. Here you can see the other one I did. The red and black is Mod Podged scrapbook paper, just to show you a couple different ways you can do this project. Now this red Merry Christmas was metal. I did find it at a thrift store. It had a hanger on it, so that's why I put those two bows to cover up where the holes were. Now my very basic bow is just a strip of burlap, and I just made a loop and a tail. Actually, I did two pieces and a loop and a tail, crossed them in the middle, and hot glued them down. Here I'm just showing you with some Christmas florals, just random pieces, how you can arrange them and then glue everything down. I am going to put this pine cone in the middle. I don't exactly do it here how I laid it out. When you see the finished product, I did put the frosty leaves on top of the bow with the pine cone. You'll see here in just a second. So once you have your florals arranged how you like them, you can add a hanger if you would like. Project number 2, I'm using some of these square wood planks from Dollar Tree, some wood clothespins, 2 glass candlesticks, and a couple pieces of scrap wood. Now, what I'm wanting to do here is make this thicker. So I'm taking 2 of these wood squares, and I am just with some Gorilla Wood glue, butting them right up to each other and using some of my craft clamps here until they are completely sealed together and a lot thicker. My 2 glass candlesticks are getting a coat of Rust-Oleum white ultra cover spray paint. Next, once my squares are completely dry, I'm going to take my Waverly paint in crimson, and I'm going to do one side of each of my squares. So this project is going to be two-sided. I wanted to do red like for Christmas time, and then just a neutral white that could be used year-round. These 2 little pieces of 1x2, I'm just painting with some black acrylic paint. This will be the base of our photo holder. Once my white and red squares were dry, I did take some of my antique wax. I wanted to antique these a little bit, so I'm just going to streak some on with a brush. I'm going to rub it with a paper towel, and then once I had how much I thought I wanted, I did take them to the garage and just run my hand sander over them a little bit to buff that out. I'm also using some of the antique wax just to age my candlesticks a little bit. So like I said, I did sand my squares, and then I also sprayed some matte clear spray on those. Now taking some wood glue and some E6000, I'm going to glue these squares standing up on that black base. I don't show this, but I did, once I had it in place and wiped away the excess glue, I put a couple Jenga blocks on either side just to hold it straight up and down. Once those are dry, I'm taking some of these wood clothespins from Crafter Square, and with a little bit of E6000, I'm going to glue one on each side. So there will be one on the white side of the square and one on the red side of the square. This is just a cute little way you can display a photo or invitation or a little graphic on a desk or a shelf. I did show E6000 here, but I will also use some hot glue to now attach my black base to the top of my candlestick to finish off this project. And one last finishing touch was a little jute bow on the top of each clothespin. Project number 3, I'm using 3 metal buckets, 3 of the Christmas trees from Dollar Tree, a pool noodle, some bows, some poster letters, and some Spanish moss. Now my 3 tins are from IKEA originally. I found them at a thrift store, but you could use any of the little metal buckets from Dollar Tree as well. Using my poster sticker letters, I'm just spelling out joy. You'll see my Y is gone, so I'm taking my G and just cutting straight across there to make a Y. Voila! We have the word joy. Now taking my pool noodle, I'm taking my little saw here and I'm cutting some pieces that will fit into my bucket. This was a tip, I can't remember who I saw do this first, but this is, you get a lot more pool noodle for $1 than you do floral foam. So this is a great alternative to floral foam. Just hot gluing this right down in the center of my bucket, and it's perfect because there's a little hole for the Christmas tree. I did take a couple other pieces that I cut and cut them in half, and then you'll see me cut one in a quarter to completely fit in the bucket. I did take that base off of this one, but ended up putting it back on. It just made the tree fit a little more snugly in that hole. Here we go. I cut this one now into fourths just to fill in those other spaces. So the only one that's hot glued down is this center one. I'm going to do this to all 3 of my buckets and my trees. And then I'm taking here some Spanish moss that I had on hand, just squirting some hot glue on top of my pool noodles, and going to wrap this around the base of my tree to cover up the pool noodles. You can tuck it down in between, and really this is such a simple project, but I'm just loving how it turns out. Once the Spanish moss is in there, you can go ahead and fluff out the branches of your tree. Fold that top one over because it's really long. And here's what they look like in the buckets. And then I am going to take this set of plaid bows that I got at Dollar General last year for $1. I believe there were 5 on the package, and they have a little twist tie on the back, and I'm just going to add one of those to the top of each of my trees. They're kind of little Charlie Brown trees, but I think they're so cute. They would look great on a fireplace or a mantle. I did find the tails were a little long, so I did trim them a little bit and give them that dovetail, and they were a wired bow, so you can arrange them how you like. And I think they are so adorable. Next project, I'm using some of these big tag ornaments from Dollar Tree. You could also use these round wooden ornaments from Dollar General, some ribbon, some stencils, and some paint. So here I was really surprised at how easy it was to peel that paper right off the front. I did sand them a little bit just to get the rest of the glitter and paper off, and then I'm going to give my tags 2 coats of Waverly white chalk paint on the front and the back. I don't think you need to watch me paint, so we'll just fast forward through this. I will say these tags are a really nice size, and I'm going to take my stencil here from a Maker Studio. At first I was planning on using the words and all that swirly, but then I just decided I wanted just the words Merry Christmas kind of down in that bottom right corner. So I will put a link in the description box to a Maker Studio, and I will also list the name of this stencil, but there's lots of great stencils. Here I'm also using the black chalk art paint and a little spreader. I'm trying to be real careful to not get any of those swirlies. Like I said, I just want the words Merry Christmas. And I am going to do this to all 3 of my tags. If you've never seen these stencils before, yes, they are reusable. You just rinse it off and lay it flat to dry. Here I've got some ribbon. I showed you could also use scrapbook paper if you don't have any of this ribbon. This black and white was from Dollar Tree in their Halloween ribbon this year. It is wire edged. It is a little thin, but I'm just taking a piece and wrapping it around my tag and hot gluing both ends just for that little bit of decorative touch. The red and black ribbon is a thicker fabric ribbon. It's from Dollar General. It was $2 a roll, and I'm going to use this on my other two tags. Next, I'm taking this really thin jute twine that I believe is from Dollar Tree, starting with a bead of hot glue on the back. I'm just going to attach it and wrap it around a number of times, and then glue it again onto the back. And then I'm going to add a jute twine bow that I made with my slightly thicker jute twine from Walmart. And the last step is to just replace that ribbon hanger that was on this with another piece of jute twine. And I just think these tags are so cute in Farmhouse, and I will be selling these in my craft show coming up at the end of November. So I probably will make some more of these to sell in my craft show booth. For project number 5, I am using this white wood shutter that I bought off Facebook Marketplace. I did give it a nice fresh coat of white spray paint. I'm going to use some of this paper leaf garland from Hobby Lobby, also this Christmas ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and some floral wire. So when you get these on, I think normally these are like $4, and they do come with about 11 or 12 loops. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to separate this out into 3 mostly equal sized wreaths for this shutter. So using floral wire, I attached the wreaths to the shutter, and then just using some of this Christmas ribbon. This is in the Christmas craft section. It is slightly wired. I just thought this was a really cute, different plaid pattern, and I'm just going to make 3 equal size bows, and I'm going to hot glue those to the top of each of my wreaths. Here I'm just making sure my tails are all the same length, and then I will also be giving a slight dovetail to the tails of each bow. I think this is so cute, and it'll either be on my porch or my mantle. For my last project, I found this huge bag of wooden building blocks at a thrift store. So here I'm showing you, I took 8 blocks and wood glued them together to make 6 giant blocks. Now they're not giant, they're like 4 inches on each side. But once I had those all made, I took my white Waverly chalk paint and very not so patiently painted each of the 6 sides of my cubes. So you could do this project with some of those wood boxes from Dollar Tree. You would just have one side would be open. You could do that. Maybe the bottom side would be open. Then I took some scrapbook paper and I cut squares for 6 sides. So one side of each block will be for winter, one side will be for autumn, one side will be for spring, and one side will be for summer. So this is a all year long craft that you could have out on a mantle or on a shelf, and I'm just using here the Dollar Tree poster letters to spell out all 4 of my seasons. Then I just Mod Podged the squares onto each side of my blocks, and here you can see the papers that I just used out of my scrapbook paper stash. And you can have these, like I said, laying horizontally, or you can stack the blocks vertically. This is a project I've been wanting to make for a very long time. I was so excited to find those blocks. Here again is a look at all of the projects in today's video. As always, please let me know down in the comments which one of these was your favorite. I just really had so much fun putting all of these together. Like I said, a couple of them will be for my craft show. Others will be given as gifts and used in my own home decor. Again, thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. Like I said, if you are new here, I hope you'll stick around by hitting that subscribe button. And please be sure to check out my other fall decor DIY playlist and my Christmas decor playlist. Take care.